Hey everyone, so you've heard these terms flying around, right? AI, machine learning, deep learning. It all sounds super complicated, but what if I told you they fit together like a set of Russian dolls? Today, we're going to pop them open, one by one, and see exactly what's inside. You see these words everywhere, describing the latest tech, in the news, on your phone. The problem is they get thrown around almost interchangeably, and that's where everybody gets confused. So let's clear this up for good. We're going to start with the biggest doll in the set, AI. All right, let's start at the top with the biggest idea of them all, artificial intelligence. You got to understand, this isn't just one piece of tech. It's this huge, decades-old dream of building smart machines. The core idea of AI is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly ambitious. It's all about trying to build machines that can do the things we usually associate with human intelligence. Things like reasoning, problem solving, and actually learning from experience. Just think about how far we've come. Back in '97, Deep Blue beat the world chess champion. Super impressive, right? But really, it was just a giant calculator blindly following rules that humans had programmed into it. Then came AlphaGo. It wasn't just given the rules of the game Go. It was told to learn how to win. It literally taught itself strategies that no human had ever thought of. That was the leap. We went from simply following instructions to genuine learning. And that changed absolutely everything. So yeah, AI is the big picture, the ultimate destination. But just having a goal isn't enough. You need a plan. How do we actually make a machine intelligent? Well, that brings us to the next doll in our set. Okay, time for the next layer down, machine learning. If AI is the grand destination we're trying to reach, you can think of machine learning as the powerful engine that's actually driving us there today. Now, this is the real game-changing idea. With machine learning, instead of trying to write a million rules for a computer, you just feed it a ton of data. You don't tell it a cat has pointy ears and whiskers. No, you just show it thousands and thousands of cat photos, and it figures out the pattern for cat on its own. It learns from experience just like we do. Look at this. It completely flips traditional programming on its head. Normally, a programmer writes the rules. With machine learning, we give the computer the inputs and the final answers, kind of like a giant cheat sheet, and it has to work backward to figure out the rules for itself. The machine literally becomes its own programmer. So please remember this. Machine learning isn't some totally separate thing from AI. It's a critical part of AI. In fact, it's the most powerful tool we have right now to make that whole dream of AI a reality. Okay, so if machine learning is the engine, what's the high-octane fuel? What's powering these mind-blowing applications like AlphaGo or self-driving cars? To find that, we have to open up our final, innermost doll, deep learning. Deep learning uses something called an artificial neural network, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a system of algorithms inspired by that complex web of neurons inside our own brains. And just like our brains, these networks are amazing at finding really subtle, complex patterns in massive amounts of information. The word deep and deep learning sounds really intimidating, but honestly, it just means the neural network has lots of layers. Think of it like a series of camera filters. The first layer might just spot basic shapes and lines. The next layer takes that info and combines it to find more complex things like eyes and a nose. And that final layer puts it all together to recognize, hey, that's a face. Each layer gets a little more abstract, building on the work of the one before it. And there you have it, the complete set. Deep learning is a specialized, powerful technique within machine learning, which in turn is a crucial way we achieve the goals of the huge field of artificial intelligence. Each one fits perfectly inside the next. So how does one of these models actually go from seeing a bunch of random data to making super accurate predictions? Well, it's not magic. It's actually a pretty cool cycle of trial and error that just happens at an insane speed. So here's the basic loop. First, the model makes a guess, a prediction. Then, something called a loss function, which is really just a way to score how bad the guess was, tells it how wrong it was. Finally, an optimizer acts like a coach, telling the model exactly how to tweak its internal wiring to make a better guess next time. And it does this over and over and over again, millions of times, getting a tiny bit smarter with every single try. Now, this learning can happen in a few different styles. With supervised learning, you give the model examples that are already labeled, like emails marked spam or not spam. With unsupervised learning, you just dump a bunch of unlabeled data on it and ask it to find the hidden patterns, like grouping your customers into different segments. And then there's reinforcement learning, where the model learns by doing, getting rewards for good moves and penalties for bad ones, which is exactly how AlphaGo learned to become the best Go player in the world.
I know this can all sound pretty technical and out there, but the truth is, you are already using AI powered by this stuff every single day. You probably don't even think about it.
You know when you finish a show, and Netflix or YouTube instantly suggests the next perfect thing to watch? That's a machine learning model. It's looked at everything you've ever watched, compared it to millions of other people, and found patterns to predict what you're gonna love. It's just pattern finding on an unbelievable scale. The way a self-driving car sees the world, that's pure deep learning. It uses a field called computer vision to analyze live video from its cameras. It applies layers of analysis to identify everything in its path, from the lines on the road to a pedestrian crossing the street. It's literally learning to understand the visual world, one pattern at a time. And it's not just for fun stuff. Businesses use machine learning constantly for things like demand forecasting. By crunching numbers on past sales, trends, and even the weather, these models can predict what's going to be popular, helping stores make sure the things you want to buy are actually in stock. And here's where it gets really wild. AI is even getting creative. Some models work like a team of rivals. One is an art forger trying to create a realistic image, and the other is an art detective trying to spot the fake. They go back and forth, pushing each other to get better and better, until the forger is creating art that is completely indistinguishable from the real deal. It's incredible.
So let's wrap this all up with a super simple analogy. Think of AI as the whole car, the entire vehicle that's meant to get you somewhere. Machine learning is the engine that actually makes the car go. And deep learning? That's the state-of-the-art, high-performance, turbocharged engine that's breaking all the speed records and winning all the races today. The boundaries of what's possible are just expanding faster and faster. From science and medicine to art and our day-to-day lives, this technology is completely reshaping our world. Hopefully now you have a solid foundation to understand what's going on and follow along with the next wave of innovation. Thanks for watching.